I'm Rick, and I want to talk about using polyurethane glues to glue up spear guns. Wooden spear guns very usually have several components, several laminates, and these are glued together and held together by glue. The two most popular glues are epoxy and polyurethane glues. If I read the tests right, polyurethane glue is not quite as strong as epoxy, but pretty darn close. I've had joints fail with both epoxy and polyurethane, but only very rarely, and we're talking half a century of spear gun building, more in fact. Epoxy has the name, and it has some wow factor because of having the name. But polyurethane glue, well, it's practical too. This is the stuff I use. I think they're all pretty much of a muchness. I just use this because it's easy to get in Bunnings. I like polyurethane glue because it's easy to use, very convenient, and it's cheap and easy to get. Another virtue of polyurethane glue, especially at this time of year, is it seems to have, you seem to be able to use it in the lower temperatures. When the temperature drops below around about 15 degrees, it still seems to work. If you read the instructions on epoxy, I know reading the instructions is pretty radical, but you'll find that generally they say 15 degrees, it shouldn't be used below that temperature. It can get a bit thick in the cold weather, so before I use it, I just tuck it away inside my clothing for a little while, and it warms up to body heat. One disadvantage of polyurethane is that it gets affected by ultraviolet light. Now this is not too much of a problem when the joints are very narrow and thin, but it's good to make sure that your surface finish has some sort of UV protection in it. I'm no doctor or allergy specialist, but it's my understanding that polyurethane doesn't cause allergic problems, unlike epoxy. But it's still probably wiser to wear plastic gloves while you're using it. Cover all the joint surfaces, don't leave any dry spots. You really only need to put it on one side. After 10 minutes or so, the glue starts to fuzz and bubble and come up. The foaming is good. It expands and fills all the gaps. Apparently the polyurethane reacts with water, and that's what makes it set, what makes it bubble and then set. Some people advocate spraying the glue surfaces with water beforehand. I've never bothered with this, and it's never been a problem for me. Here's a bit where I glued on a butt piece earlier. You can see where the glue's foamed up and come out, but you do have to clean it off later. To sum up, polyurethane glue doesn't have the same wow factor, doesn't have the same name, but it's probably just as practical and as strong as epoxy, and it's a lot more easy to use, a lot more convenient to get hold of. It's cheaper. If I'm making a gun for someone else and I want to impress them, I make it and I glue it with epoxy. If I'm doing it for myself, I'm quite happy to use polyurethane because of its convenience.